So obviously, some of you guys probably know this, but one of the big worries that I have for whatever coming next for the Xbox actually is the fact that, you know, I feel like developers probably aren't going to really spend time and, you know, waste time on a platform that is very niche. And I feel like obviously with where Xbox is going, that it's going to be incredibly niche. You know, anybody that thinks otherwise, I don't know. I would love to hear what you're thinking. If you're thinking otherwise and this thing is going to be incredibly niche, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that, because from everything that we've seen, this thing is supposed to be, you know, some kind of like PC deal, and it's going to be over $1,000. So I don't see any world where that isn't niche, especially when you have Xbox right now, where they have had offering that was as cheap as $199, and the Series X for, you know, a good bit of time, for a couple years around the holidays, would be only $350, right? And people didn't buy those things, yet people are under the assumption that for some reason Xbox is going to randomly sell millions of units of these $1,000+ PCs, and you know, I don't really understand that, for the same reason that I don't think those Steam machines are going to do very well at, you know, $700-800 or whatever the cost is going to be. I just think that there's not really a market for that. But you know, I remember the people hyping up the Steam Decks as well, and then they make excuses for these things when they don't do well, right? Like, oh, Nintendo Switch is in trouble now, here comes the Steam Deck, and then, you know, 3-4 years later, the thing sold 3 million units. So, you know, and then the excuses come, oh, well, it's not available here, it's not there, it's not that. I mean, the Xbox isn't going to be available in many places either. Like, they've already pulled it out of like Costco and some of these other places and places around the world. So this thing might only be available online. But anyway, it seems like developers don't really work that hard on Xbox versions, and now this Red Dead Redemption fiasco is only affecting Xbox users, right? And, you know, so Switch users good, PlayStation users good, but of course Xbox users kind of get screwed. The remaster with 4K 60 frames per second is live. It's free for owners of the original 360 version to upgrade. Yeah, so Rockstar Games announced it would release a remaster of the original Red Dead Redemption for Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and Switch 2, and mobile devices on December 2nd. Well, the time has come, and Red Dead Redemption Remaster is available to purchase and download on the Xbox Store and the other platforms' respective digital stores. However, if you already own the original digital Xbox 360 copy of Red Dead Redemption, you're allowed to upgrade to the next-gen remaster for free without having to buy it again. Red Dead Redemption is, of course, the open-world action-adventure game originally released in 2010 on 360 and PS3. You play as John Marston, a former outlaw whose wife and son has been taken hostage by the government and is now being forced by them to hunt down his former gang if he hopes to see his family again. It's considered by critics and fans to be one of Rockstar Games' finest titles for its deep open-world exploration and gunplay, immersive setting that recreates the final days of the Old West, and an engrossing story filled with themes of revenge, the American dream, and redemption. It went on to win, obviously, Game of the Year awards, shipped over 25 million copies, and of course the sequel, Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a masterpiece. However, Rockstar has acknowledged that some users on Xbox specifically, it's not working. Rockstar has acknowledged that there are issues for some users with Red Dead Redemption on Xbox only, and is currently working on a fix. If you can't access the upgrade for free, I'm going to link this article so you can check it out. When hitting the link while signed into your Xbox, you may be affected by the bug. So again, this is a really, really kind of weird situation, you know, kind of what's going on. And the thing is for me anyway, you know, it's one of those things where you hope that things kind of can get worked out or whatever, and actually be able to, you know, work better for the fans or whatever. So, you know, it's kind of crazy to me the way that this is kind of working out, where it's not working out for only Xbox fans, and you kind of understand why I get so upset, and I go, well, why would developers really bother with this, you know? It's kind of crazy to think that this hasn't really, you know, that this is going to happen more often in the future. The remastered version of Red Dead Redemption will include the original game with all its DLC and several upgrades like 4K resolution, HDR support, enhanced image quality, and a 60 frames per second boost. Now, the interesting thing is this. You guys might remember this. What you're seeing on the screen is Red Dead Redemption, me playing Red Dead Redemption on, this is the Xbox 360 version played on an Xbox Series X, which it got an enhancement to do 4K and stuff like that. Now, maybe it was a year or two ago, Rockstar released a remaster Red Dead Redemption at 60 frames on the Switch and on the PS4, I believe. And Xbox didn't get that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it just goes to show we were the only ones that had backwards compatibility to be able to play the game, but PlayStation and Switch users, I think, got to play it in 60 frames. Not 100% sure on the Switch users. They might have been stuck at 30. But for sure, the PlayStation 4, and if you played it on PlayStation 5, you know, you were able to kind of do that. So yeah, kind of crazy to think that only Xbox users kind of get screwed out of these things. But you know, again, it puts Xbox users in a really weird situation. So owners of the original game should be able to carry over their save data to the remastered, so they don't have to start from scratch. Red Dead Redemption and a sequel are available to purchase and download from the Xbox store right now. So yeah, you know, it's like, it's very interesting that this is happening, that people are still having problems like being able to download this game. And you know, these problems are only going to continue to kind of get worse for Xbox fans. Like, I know a lot of you don't believe that, or don't think that that's going to be the case, but honestly, of course it's going to be the case, because Xbox is a niche product, and people are going to, you know, have kind of an idea that, hey, why would I put so many time, you know, an effort into this thing that nobody's going to, you know, bother with. So that's realistically kind of the situation that I'm seeing. It's still broken on the Xbox Series X and S. Yeah, they're working on a fix, but when? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really a sad situation to kind of find yourself in as an Xbox fan. And, you know, I hope Microsoft kind of do something to get this working or whatever. But again, you have to kind of question, why would, you know, Microsoft, or why would these developers bother or put in the effort with that? You know what I mean? You look over, you see, you know, the Switch is a hot up and coming thing that's going to outsell the Xbox Series X and S very shortly. And then, you know, you look at kind of what's happening with the PlayStation 5, and, you know, they're nearing 90 million consoles sold. So of course those are going to be like the priority. Why would you, as an Xbox fan, think that, you know, Xbox would ever be a priority in these situations? I think, like, it's easy to kind of understand why I feel the way that I do, and I think that, you know, we're going to get screwed over a lot. You know, I think that, and I've mentioned this in another video I did, Microsoft isn't going to, you know, they're going to have probably one version of the game, quote unquote, next generation, and, you know, that version of the game is going to be like a PC version, which is going to make the Play Anywhere stuff irrelevant. They're just using that buzzword to kind of make it look like it's some kind of added value or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, again, it's you know, a weird situation, and, you know, hopefully we can see some kind of end to this before too long. But again, the fact that Xbox is the only console lagging behind with this stuff is kind of demoralizing. And, you know, I just personally hate to see it. You know, it's a real shame that, you know, this stuff keeps happening the way that it is, you know, and I hate seeing it happen, to be honest with you. It really just irks me as a fan of Xbox that, you know, that this keeps happening, and that Microsoft keeps on screwing up. And not only just screwing up, but, like, you know, screwing over their fans, their fan base. You know, like, I'm a fan. Like, why shouldn't I be able to, why is this not working? You know, why does this not work for the average fan? And why is your console having so much problems lately? Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Make it make sense to me. I don't know. Is it just people are going to maybe say it's just ironic, or it's just bad timing or whatever? No. You know, developers obviously aren't going to take the time out with Xbox the way that they would with some of these other things. So Let me know what you guys think. I'll link this in the description. Have you got it to work yet for you? Let me know in the comments. Rack 'em up. I'll catch you next time. Crap Gamer out.